100,000 Poets for Change started as an idea by the editors of the Big Bridge online magazine, Michael Rothenberg and Terry Carrion in Guerneville, California. They wanted to take one single day, September 24th, in which poets and performance artists worldwide would take a day to announce our presence, our moral and ethical dedication, and our hope for a better world. To their very great surprise, hundreds of cities and dozens of countries immediately signed up. And with the help of the Latin-based organization, the World Poetry Movement, 100,000 Poets for Change now involves more than 750 events in 95 countries, all choosing September 24th as a day of discussion, performance, and the expression of just anger. Now, over the past month, I suspect every organizer in the world has repeatedly heard the question, what kind of change are you working for? I've been asked it by at least 4 people in this room. That's more difficult to answer than it sounds, because 100,000 Poets for Change was always intended to be a grassroots organization without a central platform. Every event in 100,000 Poets for Change will naturally have a different agenda. While I'm sure the participants in Afghanistan and Nigeria want the Louisiana coastline to remain viable, I trust we will forgive them if they focus their own energy elsewhere. The question is further complicated by the fact that the poets you hear tonight are not obliged to agree with each other. That's actually not part of an organizer's, publisher's, or MC's job at all. I think we're all very concerned about our coast. I think we're all a bit underwhelmed with what our legislature terms education reform. And I know that we organizers were thinking heavily about the rights of sexual self-determination. But the people you hear from here tonight have not signed a platform, nor do we want them to. So let me tell you then, if I may, what I believe about this event. I believe that poetry has power. Now, that is a questionable statement in this country at this time, but if you'll bear with me, I believe that poetry has the power to change individual lives. And without meaning to get too far into either Milton or the philosophies of Spider-Man, it stands to reason that if poetry has any power, then the poets have responsibility in accordance with the nature of that power. That is, poets are in the business of changing individual lives, and it is our obligation to do our damnedest to change them for the better. We are not obligated to agree on how this is to be done. In fact, poets, being the opposites of politicians, can be measured by how far they deviate from their peers. If a poet believes that change is best effected by verbal attacks on Michelle Bachmann, so be it. If a poet genuinely believes that positive change is best effected by verbal attacks on Barack Obama, that's their prerogative. On the other hand, if a poet believes that the world is most in need of a thorough and compassionate exploration of the human heart, then such love poetry is not only valid, but powerfully political. Because courage is inherently transformative. This world, this country, this state, and its politics are drowning in cliché, and as every poet knows, the common term for cliché is bullshit. To tell the truth, to speak courageously and with the full force of one's knowledge and wisdom is always a radical act. That is what the poets here tonight have assembled to do, to speak the truth, the best truth we know, in the face of a world that gave up on truth long before our common language was born. So, with that in mind, maybe you'd like to hear some poems already.